If you ever wondered where the infamous Hannibal Lector inspiration came from, it originated from a German man named Armin Meiwes. Armin, who admitted to killing and eating another man who volunteered for it, made headlines around the world. And on December 2002, Germany, along with the rest of the world, was shocked when details about Armin's crime came into light. He confessed to stabbing and eating a 43-year-old man named Bernd. But what disturbed people the most was that Bernd had agreed to be slaughtered, and even tried to consume his own genitals before agreeing to allow Armin to kill him. He had declined most interview requests, and that's why Lois Jones, a journalist, wrote the book, Cannibal, which is based on interviews with friends and relatives of both men and those involved in Armin's trial. The reason Lois decided to write the book was that she found the subject fascinating to explore. I mean, what would drive someone to eat a man? And why would his victim give consent? What she found even more interesting was just how popular the idea of cannibalism was to normal people around the world. There were even fans of Armin, and websites dedicated to him. Lois had no intentions of giving this guy any type of an ego boost or glory, and only wanted to report what had happened. Armin was born on 1961 in Germany, and he started off with a lonely childhood. His father didn't really give him much attention, and after his parents divorced, completely abandoned him and his mother. And as a child, his favorite story was Hansel and Gretel, because he was fascinated about the part where Hansel was being fattened up to be eaten. And by age 12, Armin began fantasizing about eating his friends so that they would become a part of him and stay with him forever, showing just how lonely this kid was. Later on in life he had joined the military but was shortly kicked out due to having several DUI convictions, so he moved back home with his mother. But on 1999, after Armin's mother had died and left him the family's large mansion, he was left alone for the first time in his life. So it didn't take long for him to fill in his empty void with pornography, along with a few chat rooms about cannibalism. By 2000, Armin posted a message in many cannibalism chat rooms saying, "I am looking for a young, well-built man aged 18 to 30 to slaughter." Weirdly enough, several men did respond to his message, the first one being a man named Borg Jose. But upon their meeting, Jose realized he couldn't go through with it and decided to back out of being eaten. The final man to respond to Armin's ad was Bernd, who was a 43-year-old engineer, and the two hit it off. So on March 9, 2001, Brandis met with Armin at his home, and the two had sex before Armin provided him with painkillers, sleeping pills, and alcohol. This was so Brandis would be in less pain before Armin finally chopped off his penis, so the pair could eat it together. Brandis reportedly admitted that the penis was chewy, so Armin cooked it some more before it burnt to the point it became inedible. Losing large amounts of blood from the injury, Brandis started to bleed to death in the bathtub as Armin started reading a Star Trek book to wait for his death. And even after 10 hours, Brandis was still alive, so Armin became impatient, and decided to stab him several times in the neck to end his life. That's when the real cannibalism began. Armin hung Brandis' body on a meat hook, and proceeded to cut the flesh into smaller portions until his entire body could be stored in the freezer. So for the course of 6 to 8 months, Armin would occasionally eat Brandis' remains, and add it to his meals. And what's even crazier, is that during this time he's posting his human course meals online in the cannibalism community, and getting a lot of praise for it. And by November 2002, Armin was close to finishing eating Brandis' leftovers, and posted another message for a victim online. But luckily this time, an Austrian student found it, and reported the images and messages Armin had posted online to the authorities. So by December 11, 2002, police raided Armin's house, and had found 15 pounds of Brandis' flesh, along with videos of the killing. Even though Armin admitted to what he'd done after his arrest, it took 7 months until July 17, 2003, to put together a case and gather all the evidence. And the police found thousands of images of torture and porn on his computer. And on January 30, 2004, Armin was convicted of manslaughter, and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. Lois mentions in the book how the case had attracted considerable media attention, and everyone had started debating as to whether Armin should have been convicted at all for his crime. Because Brandis did volunteer to be slaughtered, eaten, and even entered Armin's home fully aware of his intentions. So it wasn't like he tricked him into doing anything. What's even weirder was that German lawyers discovered that cannibalism was still legal in Germany, and was forced to charge Armin with murder instead. And on April 2005, a retrial was brought up because prosecutors thought Armin's sentence was too short, since he was only sentenced with manslaughter and not murder, which would have given him a life sentence. So the retrial began on January 12, 2006, where prosecutors showed how Armin murder was meant to satisfy his sick sexual urges. They also mentioned how Brandis was not capable of making any decisions because he took a lot of drugs and alcohol to numb the pain of his removed penis. And that's how on May 10, 2006, Armin was convicted of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. After entering prison, Armin became a vegetarian and worked in the prison library. It's just crazy to imagine that no matter how normal someone may appear, you never know the sick pleasures that they might enjoy. But if you'd like to dive into the mind of the man who brought cannibalism under the light, I recommend checking out the book, Cannibal. But if you have any books you'd like for me to review, or any true crime cases you want me to explain, let me know in the comments below.